welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is the 9th episode. So this is the first episode of December, so I'm trying to be a bit festive. I'm wearing one of my red sweaters. I'm even having my reindeer ear rings, I guess. And I also have a little Santa up here. I'm filming this a bit later in the day than I usually do because I actually filmed this earlier today and I forgot to change the microphone, so there was no sound, which was a bit silly. But yeah, take two, I guess. I can start with what I'm wearing. This is a sweater that my mom knit. It was a test knit for a designer that's here in Norway. If I remember correctly, the designer is a friend of mom. That's why she was asked to test it. She's not a huge designer, but like one of the local ones. I do not know her name at all. I just know the story my mom told me. I will try and look up the name, both of the designer and the pattern. I find the pattern, or not the pattern, the design is very, very nice. It has this very beautiful detail here in the front, which I think makes it look very feminine. And it also has these arms, which when you do this, they look very, very, very big, but it gives this like very delicate ruffle along the arm, and also it has quite long ribbing on the arms, and the ribbing at the bottom is quite standard. I think it might be twisted rib, but I'm not 100% certain. Me and my mom don't have the same knitting tension, so I'm not 100% certain. And it's a folded over collar. This is not a sweater I can wear a lot, because for those of you that know me know that I'm quite sensitive to wool and mohair especially, and this is knit with both wool and at least one strand of mohair, might even be two. Yeah, I think it's one strand. So I will be taking this off when I'm done with the podcast. So yeah, welcome to the first knitting podcast of December, I guess. I'm gonna continue talking about patterns by introducing one that I just launched today. For you guys it will be yesterday, as this is filmed a day in advance, but yeah. So let me just grab my samples. This are all the samples I've knit of my forest hiking hat. And two of them you have seen before as finished objects, two of them are new. So I can try and show you a bit. The top one here is the newest edition. I started this the 1st of December and I finished it like yesterday. So it's not blocked or anything, it's just knit up. And I really like it. You can see that it's unblocked because it's not as consistent, I guess, as some of the other hats you'll see afterwards. But I really do like the fabric. It feels a lot thicker before you wash it, so that might be something to consider, whether or not you want to block it. But it does look better when it's blocked. And the sizing is actually very close to what it's going to be after blocking, which the other one you haven't seen. You saw this as a whip last time, and this one is for my husband. The blue one is in the smallest size small, while this one is in large. And yeah, last time this was whipped, now it's done, and it's blocked. And it gave me quite a scare when I was blocking it, because when it was almost dry, it looked huge. It was super big. I honestly thought I had like used the wrong needles or something. It was just, this will never fit. It was bigger than the black one, which is the extra large one. And I was like panicking, like, what did I do? And then as soon as it dried properly, it was just shrank like amazingly. So yeah, I am very happy. It turned out all my fears were unfounded, and I'm very happy with that. I will probably borrow this one if I'm gonna go for the outdoor concert I'm talked about last time tomorrow. This has been a week, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah, this hat is the third version, or rather the third size I knit with my now newly released pattern, the first hiking hat. So this is the large, this is the medium, which you have seen before. This was the first one I knit, and then the extra large is this black one, and of course the small one that's not even blocked yet. I finished it yesterday. I wanted to show it here and also take some finished objects photos for the launch before I blocked it, and I will just replace those photos later after it's been blocked. I didn't want to not showcase all sizes, especially since this size is actually the size that is the most appropriate for my head. I am literally in between sizes. Which is kind of funny considering I'm the designer, but these two hats are the two hats that are appropriate for my size. Both of these fits a 56 centimeter head, which, let me see, how much is that in inches? 22 inch circumference head. And I'm quite happy with that. I prefer the green one. The blue one is really good, very soft, all of that, but I feel it's a bit too tight, so it kind of slips a bit up. But that's a personal preference. Everyone else I've talked to prefer this size if they have the same size head as me, because they prefer more negative ease in their hats. My husband did confess that he felt this one was too stretchy, and I think that's more like because he wanted to fit very snugly over his ears so it doesn't feel like the wind is coming through. He will give me more feedback when he's actually been able to use it. I'll talk more about that later. I did get this done last weekend, but it has not been worn other than for photos by me. Yeah. Before I go on to talk about some of the whips, now that all of these finished objects are out of the way, I can tell you a tiny bit about the week we've had. Because my week did not go as planned at all, just so you know. I had loads of plans in the last video. I was gonna get all my first hiking hats done, I was gonna get the pattern launched, and all of that has worked out. But I was also supposed to get a pair of socks done, I was gonna get the Santa hat I was knitting done, I was gonna knit on a sweater, I was gonna start a new sweater. I had so many plans, and I also had a lot of social engagements I was gonna go to. But that did not work out, as I woke up quite early Monday morning, or rather like the night, and was quite ill. And I've been quite ill for quite a few days. I was a lot better yesterday, but of course by then my husband got ill, which is why he hasn't been able to model any of the hats for me. So we're gonna have to do that later. And also I haven't actually... I do know I finished 2 hats, but I haven't actually done a lot of knitting. The first hat I finished before I even got sick. This one. While the other one, I started it the day before I got sick. I think I got like most of the brim done. So when I finally got healthy again yesterday, there wasn't that much knitting to be done. I do still knit when I'm sick, but my tempo is slowed down and it's more like 5 minutes knitting and then an hour of sleeping, which doesn't actually get you a lot of knitting. So yeah, I decided it was more important for me to have my samples for my photos in Ravelry done rather than getting anything other knitting related done. So yeah, that's been my week. I do apologize that I have to take so many frequent breaks drinking tea. My voice is quite sore and my throat hurts a bit. I hope my voice is okay. I think it's okay, but I can't hear myself until I'm editing this, so I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just life. But yeah, pattern available today. All of that good stuff. It will be linked. It's also linked to my or in my Instagram. So yes. In my language I have the saying run and buy, which actually it rhymes in my language, so it makes a lot more sense. So yeah, if you would like to try knitting it, and I must say it was a joy knitting. It was super fast and I really enjoyed the fact that it's ribbed on the entire brim all the way up over the ears. For me this means that it fits snugly and keeps itself down on the head, though I do prefer the look of stockinette. But my husband has admitted today, now that we're finally healthy enough, we had to go to the store and buy food and stuff. So he used the red one to and from the store, and he said he prefers it to be even tighter, not necessarily a size smaller, but the ribbing is too stretchy compared to what he prefers. So yeah, he gives me more ideas for more hats I can make in the future, I guess. But yeah. So now I can kind of show you the lack of progress on my other whips. Yeah. Sadly enough. Oh, I forgot to say, all of these are made out of double Sunday, Sandnes Garn double Sunday. The blue one is electric blue, the green one is deep petrol. The red one is deep red, and the black one is just black. So yeah, those are all the colors and all the yarn I've used. All of them use less than 2 skeins, which is actually, I think, very fortunate. 1 skein is 50 grams, so you can't actually get a lot out of 1 skein unless you're like knitting for a child, I guess. And it's not a brimmed hat. But getting a whole brimmed hat for any adult size, yeah, I think that's very reasonable. It's less than 200 meters for all of the hats. The smallest one, I think I only used 160, though I did extend this part here right before the decreases a tiny bit, because I did add that to the pattern actually. I thought perhaps if you knit a size smaller because you wanted it to be tighter, it might slip up because you just didn't have enough fabric. So I added in an optional option to knit a few rounds of stockinette before you knit the decreases. So yeah, I didn't have that problem with the green one, but the green one is the size that I prefer. But I did realize I can actually show you. I've been using it a lot while biking. And what I realized is when I'm biking, my helmet kind of pushes it down, so it does cover my ears, and also the straps on the helmet goes here, so it keeps it very close to my head. But I do realize that I might, since I have a lot of thick hair, it does cover my earlobes, but it does stick out a bit because I have so much hair. While if I then knitted a smaller size, I would have less amount of decreases to get to the top, and therefore it would be shorter. And therefore I added a few stitches so that I would be certain that even though it now is a bit tighter, it would still cover my ears. And I now have that very cute little pointy part at top. I think that will like calm down a bit as soon as I wash it. But like, yeah, I really do like the way this fits. I wouldn't wear earrings while wearing a hat. I don't usually wear earrings. I got them pierced as a child, and as a child and a teenager I used a lot of earrings. But as an adult I only use earrings for special occasions. So yeah, special occasion. Which also means that I do have a tendency to touch them a lot, since I'm not used to wearing them. But okay, that's all about the forced hiking hats, plural. So now we can go to the whips. This one is one of my most long-term whips, and it's a pair of socks. And I know last time I said you could call me out if they weren't done, but please don't. I didn't plan on being sick for that long. I have actually touched these a tiny bit, as you might be able to see from the stitch marker. Oh, now I have hairs everywhere. So what I did since last time is I got done with the decreases in the gusset, so now I am fully in the foot, or on the foot, I guess. Heels are done, the legs are done. Now I just need to knit until I get the right length, and then decrease. And I must admit, I'm very glad I got to that point, because the decreases, they are quite hard on my hands, I have noticed, and perhaps that has been contributing to why I haven't knit as much on these as I wanted to. But yeah, I do need a new pair of woolen socks, so this would be very nice if I got them done. The purple is Mrs. Fox Gritted Merino in the colorway Kald Skulder, which translates to cold shoulder, while this peach color is Life in the Long Grass Singles in the colorway Angel City. I had to think about it for a little while. I do have the tags here, so if I forget I can always check it out, I guess. Look it up, yes. So hopefully, I have no idea how on earth I'm gonna have the time to do all the plans I have, because December is always super busy, and I always get sick in December, so I have no idea why I always think I have more time than I do. But yeah, we're having 3 concerts in quite a short while. 1 today for you people. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. And there's a lot of work up front and a lot of work afterwards. And of course the mental preparations and making sure I know all the lyrics and all of that. So yeah, I honestly don't know how I'm supposed to get everything done, because I was planning on like really sitting down and like in our language pugge, like just sing the songs again and again and again until I was certain I knew all of the lyrics, or knew them so well I couldn't even forget them if I wanted to. We do have a lot of Christmas songs, and I'm relatively new in the choir, so most of the people have been in the choir for years and years and years, so they already know the songs. They know them so well because they already gone through this previously. So yeah, I don't want to be an eyesore and not know the lyrics well enough. I am allowed to bring like sheet music to the stage, but I don't want to. I don't think it looks professional. So yeah, and I'm also in the first row, so there's no hiding it behind someone else's backs. So yeah, that's life. But yeah, I do need these socks done. I am not putting any pressure on myself. Just please get them done soon. I want socks. Easy. So yeah, I'm putting this down. And the rest of the projects, I think I only have 3, have not been touched at all. My knitting basket was sitting here in my... technically it's my office, but I also call it my knitting room. This is where I go when I want to be alone. Usually I don't need to go here to be alone, but like we all have those times when like I just need to shut out the world, and yeah. So, next project. This is my Colorwork Santa hat. It's not a proper pattern. It's also not the pattern I'm gonna release. It's just something I am doing for my own sanity, I guess. I was desperately bored when I started this, because almost everything I had going on was either stockinette or super simple things. So I needed something that took a bit more brain power, and this was because I was already done with my cabled sweater. So yeah, I needed some inspiration. And I have for years wanted a Santa hat with colorwork. This one is... the colorwork pattern I'm knitting is inspired by a photo that I'm gonna pop up here. It is... I didn't follow it 100%. If you see the photo and then see this, you will see it's not the same. But it's fine. I don't mind. The changes I made deliberately, either to make my own work a bit easier or just because I thought it looked better. Yeah. I started with the bottom here. I was inspired by the Musselburgh hat. I don't own that pattern. I do not know exactly how that's written, but I have heard quite a lot of people talk about it. And as I understand it, you knit it by you starting with a point, I guess. And then you increase, so you get a tube. And then knit the tube for quite a while. And then when you have knit the tube for quite a while, you do the decreases. And then you put the bottom of the hat inside the rest of the hat, so you get it double folded. And then when you put it on and you fold the brim, you get like a really, really thick fabric. So it's very, very comfortable. And that sounds nice. So I wanted to mimic that. Though with slight changes, because I didn't want a Musselburgh hat, I wanted a Santa hat. So when I put this on, it will fit like a normal hat on the inside, and then on the outside it has decreases a lot more slowly. It doesn't focus on me for some reason. Why don't you focus on me? Come on. Here I am. Thank you. So it decreases quite slowly so that it will hang down, and I will probably add a tassel or like a pom-pom or something to the end, because that's a very traditional thing for a Santa hat. So I do decrease every round, but I only decrease one stitch. So when I first started this, I think I had 5 reindeer pattern repeats around the hat, I guess. But now I have decreased away one entire reindeer and started on decreasing away the second one. So let me see. Actually, I think I had 6 in the beginning and now I have 4 and a bit more. Maybe? Let me try again. Yeah, I still have 4 complete reindeer and a bit more. So I had 6 in the beginning. I started the decreases down here, like right after the first pattern. I just started decreasing. So yeah, I might have made a slight mistake thinking that this pattern would be visible, but I might end up folding the brim too much over it. But I think it might still look good. I can also take the brim down and not have a brim and just tuck more of this inside the hat if I wanted to. So we'll see. But yeah, I have not worked on this. I did not have the brain power or the energy, or at times my hands were a bit busy with other things. So yeah, my colorwork pattern was not touched at all. I do enjoy knitting colorwork. I do enjoy knitting colorwork with 3 colors even. But not today. Not right now. I don't know when I'm gonna get this done. It won't be done by tomorrow, which was the original plan, when I thought I had all this week for knitting, but that's not realistic at all. I don't have any other events. That's not actually true. I just remembered. I got invited to a work event down at the office with like Christmas themed things. We're gonna have some hot chocolate and some glögg and cinnamon. No, that's not the word. Like cookies and stuff like that. So maybe I can try and get this done. That's next week actually. It's exactly a week from now. That could actually... That gave me an idea. I don't necessarily like having deadlines for my knitting, but I do enjoy wearing my knitting for specific events. And this has gone so fast while I was knitting it, and I don't even have that many stitches now. How many reindeer did I say I had? Like 4 or 5? I have 4 complete reindeer, yeah. Which means I have less than 100 stitches, which means I have less than 100 rounds. Because I keep... No, I have a tiny bit more than 100 rounds, because I have a tiny bit more than 4 reindeer, yeah. But that's fine. The last few rounds are gonna go super quick, since they are just decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. I might perhaps I will start decreasing slower so I can actually get the proper long one instead of just I gotta think about this. Maybe after the reindeer are done, I can decrease more slowly when I'm in the part where it's more like a Starry Night kind of thing. But 100 rounds, that's still like a lot. I think this part is just like 25 rows, so I still think I'm gonna have more than long enough hats. Even if I don't change the frequency of decreases. Yeah, that gave me some ideas. I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking maybe I would just do this at some point during the period between Christmas Eve and New Year's. Because I always have vacation in those days. Maybe. Yeah, gives me ideas. That actually gave me a bit of motivation, I guess. Thinking about it. I'm gonna put this to the side. And I'm gonna try and get this out. And I do think I'm just gonna put it here because this gets easily tangled. So yeah. The last two projects. I'm gonna start with one of them. Hey, why do I have more yarn in here? That's weird. I apparently had a plan, but I didn't do anything. Can I even get this out without tangling everything? Let me see. Oh, that's what I did. Okay. I wanted to show the red sweater before I started on. Before I showed the other last sweater. There it is. Tangled all around. This is probably gonna be my new favorite red sweater when it's done. But when will it be done? Nobody knows. Gotta scooch a bit closer again. Oops. Sorry, I crashed my cherry into the table. But yeah. This is a self-drafted pattern, as most of my knitting patterns are. Those of you that haven't heard that now a million times, I am sorry. This is gonna make so much noise. I have gone in and started on the folded over collar, but I haven't touched it in at least 2 weeks, maybe even 3. Maybe I should just get that done this week, just to... so I don't have 2 needles attached. And perhaps I can stop this incessive clanging. It's a saddle shoulder construction, and I have already written out the pattern for this, or the plan for the pattern. And I also graded it for more sizes just because I could. But yeah, I am gonna continue with this, I guess. It's saddle shoulder. It is relatively fitted. I prefer my sweaters to be fitted. The plan for this one is to have something to have underneath other types of knitwear, since I'm so sensitive, because this is made out of Strikkekista Potensial in the colorway Lollipop. And the reason why this is something I can wear is because it's 50% merino and 50% silk. I think it's superwash merino even. So this is going to be relatively cooling, but also not super cold because merino. So I think it's gonna like keep me the perfect temperature so that I won't be as itchy, and also perfect to have underneath thicker type of sweaters. And also gonna look good when I take off the thicker sweater. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'm just gonna get this color done as soon as possible because it's been very long since I've been touching this at all. Yeah, I'm gonna put this back in the basket because that's the easiest way to do it. And all that clacking. While talking about that, I of course remembered that I forgot to talk about the yarn I'm using for my Colorwork hat. This is also Sandnes Garn. It is at the moment my favorite yarn brand, except for LITLG Garn, which is this one. But that is hand dyed, so I cannot justify only buying that. The cost would put me in a ruin, I guess. But this is Sandnes Garn. It is not double Sunday. It's not even Sunday. It's Babyull Lanett. Yes, it is super wash though, which is nice because that means I can actually wash the hat when I'm done. I hand wash most of my knits anyway, but this one I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make I didn't make a swatch before I started knitting this. I just had fun, and yeah, that's my mistake, I guess. But I'm gonna do a colorwork patch and see if the blue or the red bleeds into the white. And if it does, I'm gonna hand wash it first, and then maybe make a new swatch, hand wash that a few times and see if that takes care of the problem. I do not want bleeding on this one. It would reduce the visibility of the pattern. Right now it's quite scrunched up because colorwork patterns do that. But I do know this yarn will relax quite a bit, so it will be more visible what I've done. But yeah, I forgot to talk about the yarn, so I wanted to do that. The colors are white, red, and marine? Navy, that's the word I'm looking for. Trying to translate the Norwegian names are not always so easy. But yeah, navy blue. I was looking for, when I first started this hat, I accidentally bought 2 different types of yarn. And I bought the red one in Babyull Lanett, and I bought the white in, white and black actually, in, I think it's Tynn Merino. And the difference was so big that when I started on this part, I realized I had to rip back because it just showed way too clearly that they were 2 different yarns and that the white one was too thin, so it just completely disappeared into the red, which was not what I wanted. And then I found one ball of this white in the colorway 1001, and then I realized I needed more than one, most likely, and I also needed black. And I ran around all the stores where I live and tried to find the colorway 1001, but they were all out. They did have the one that's called natural white instead, which is 1012, so I took a chance and I just bought 2 balls to be on the safe side. And what I'm going to do is when I'm done with the reindeer part here, there's a bit of just the color red, and then it goes into like a star night kind of thing, and I'm going to change to the other white there, because I don't think it will be as noticeable when there's some separation between them. The two colors are quite close, in my opinion. So perhaps the one I have is mislabeled. It was 1012 instead of 1001. I don't know. But I then, of course, since I didn't find more of the correct white, I completely forgot I also needed black. And when I did remember I needed black, I was like, I'm not going out again trying to find black yarn in the same yarn when I know I have blue in my stash. It is navy, it's super dark, it's close enough, and you know, it's kind of festive. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah. Enough about this hat, I guess. So yeah, that's almost all of my projects. I have one more. And I'm gonna take a sip of tea before I take it out. I get very thirsty when I've been sick. But okay. How can I take this out without losing any stitches? Okay, perfect. This is my sailor sweater. And you can clearly see this hasn't been blocked either, because all of my stitches are a bit wonky in the collar. But I know this will easily be fixed during blocking. It's just that my stitches lean while I'm knitting, and I'm just gonna tug them to where they're supposed to be when I'm blocking it. It doesn't even need a lot of encouragement, it just needs to be like put in its place, I guess. But yeah, this is also a self-drafted pattern. Any shock there? I really like this one. It is a very fun pattern in my eyes because I started here with I didn't do a provisional cast on, I just cast on normally, and then I picked up my cast on stitches so that I could continue knitting down afterwards, which is just how I prefer to do it, I guess. And I knit up, and while I knit up, when I got here, I just cast off the middle stitches there. And then I decreased on this side, on both sides really, and then when I got to up here I started decreasing for the shoulders, and I am quite pleased with the way this is fitting. It does actually mimic the slant of my shoulders quite well, and I have very slanted shoulders, so that was exactly what I wanted. And also, when I did do the decreases all the way up here, I ended up with like 2 stitches or something, 1 or 2 stitches on either side. And then I did knit them 2 at a time just to make it easier for myself. And then when I cast on the neck stitches, I guess, and then I just started knitting back and forth over the back and picked up a stitch on either side every time I knit. So you do get this very, very nice detail over the shoulders. And I am very, very pleased with how this looks. I definitely did the right choice when it comes to doing the decreases on the front and then picking up on the back, because I mean, it's not a big deal, but you can clearly see where I picked up the stitches. And there's a very nice line that kind of hides them when you show the sweater from the front. It just lays very nicely. It's knit in 2 different yarns. The white one is Viking Alpaca Storm in the colorway 500, which is just white or nature, I think. Naturel, something like that, at least white. And the turquoise one is Rauma MITU in the colorway 5775. So yeah, I have not touched this sweater at all the last week. I really want to cast on a new sweater, which is kind of silly when I already have 2 sweaters, but I think the reason why I want to cast on a new sweater is because I miss texture, to be quite honest. I have knit a lot of striped things this year. I have at least 3 cotton or bamboo t-shirts. I think all of them are cotton when I think about it. T-shirts that are striped. The amount of stripes and the width of the stripes are different, but they are still striped. So I think perhaps I just striped myself out, I guess. I'm kind of getting over stripes at the moment. But I do really like the way this sweater looks. So my plan is I'm gonna continue the body until it is as long as I want it, because I am playing a tiny bit of yarn chicken. I think, I do not know. Because I don't know how much yarn I already used, because the yarn I had was yarn I had frogged from different other things. The white I frogged from 2 different projects. I bought that yarn years and years ago because I was planning on knitting a sweater called Frost, which I really love, but I never got started on it, mostly because I had a period where I couldn't knit at all because I had some problems with my hands. So that really bummed me out, and then I didn't want to knit that sweater because all I could think about was the fact that I hadn't been able to start it earlier because I've been unwell. So yeah, and one day I might knit that sweater, or I might make my own pattern inspired by the colorwork design. I think it's only 2 colors, and to be honest, I find 2 color stranded knitting a bit boring. Not the fact that you're only knitting with 2 colors at a time, but a whole sweater with only 2 colors. Too much work with too little colors, I guess. And also the colors I had bought for my sweater was quite boring. I think it was white and grey maybe, and I did not. I don't want a white and grey sweater anymore. I find that boring. I want colors, and perhaps more than one. So yeah, more than one color. Yeah, I am a bit excited about how to do the armholes for this, because no, not armholes, the sleeves. I mean, the first time I knit this, I had to take back quite a bit of the body. Because it turned out I had knit the armholes too shallow. But as soon as I got to the same point that I was before, I just put it down and didn't pick it up again, which is kind of silly. Because now I'm basically in the round and can just knit, and then just make sure I don't knit too many rounds with one color, I guess. But yeah. I'm calling this my sailor sweater. The colors are, for me, inspiring me to think about like a sweater you wear out on a boat, like early spring, or rather late spring, early summer, when the weather is nice but it's still chilly. And of course it's always chilly on a boat. You should wear proper clothing, and I think this would look very nice with like a one of those vests outside, you know, the ones you have to wear when you're when you're on a boat. I don't remember the name in English. Life jacket, that's the word I'm looking for. Me and words. Oh well. Today I just keep forgetting the English words for everything. But yeah, this with an orange life jacket on the outside looks very much like sea vibe. So yeah, sailor vibe. I like that. But yeah, as you can see, my progress keeper is still here at the bottom. Maybe you even can't see it. Just hanging out, haven't been touched at all. So yeah, those are all the projects that I have going on at the moment, which are actually only 4 knitting projects, which for me is quite low, which indicates to me that I haven't had any cast on energy, or at least not any cast on ideas. Though I do of course still have my crochet project that lives in the living room. That is my color pooling blanket. I showed it on a previous podcast. It is a bit cumbersome to show, so I don't bring that into my knitting room very often. And I also only crochet on that a few stitches here and there. And it's almost 2 meters wide, so a few stitches here and there doesn't make a big difference. So yeah, that's a long term whip. It's not something I'm planning on getting done this year, or maybe not even next year. One day it will be done, and it will either be a bedspread or a blanket we bring out into the garden. Not both. If it becomes the garden blanket, it's something that we're gonna sit on while sitting in the garden. Though I think it might be a bit too holy for that. It's the stitch pattern I'm using are clusters of treble crochets. So between the clusters there are a space, which there's naturally are when you do clusters of treble crochets. Yeah. Other than that, I am planning on starting a new sweater. I talked about it last time. I think I talked about it the time before too, because this 2 yarns I bought last week at the yarn market. And I'm not planning on touching that until after Christmas, because I'm really hoping to get a Swift for Christmas, just to make it a lot easier to wind them up. The rest of this, I did use a yarn winder, but I had to be the Swift myself, so it took quite a while, which is why I don't necessarily use a lot of hand-dyed yarn consistently too, other than when I'm really burning for something. That's a side note. But yeah, the yarn up here, these ones, are the green yarn I've shown previously. I want to knit something textured that is not cabled. I'm planning on using this green for a new cable sweater in the same pattern that I already knit, but in a slightly bigger size. And the reason for that is quite simply that color suits me better, a lot better, and that's just part of life. I bought the first yarn because I really loved that yarn, but I realized afterwards, after I started knitting it, that perhaps pastel colors aren't the colors that suit my complexion the best. I'm still gonna wear the sweater. I love it. I would never not wear it. I think I wear it almost every day, except when I'm sick, obviously. I do not want to ruin my sweaters, so I refuse to wear woolen knitwear while being sick. But yeah. So I want to knit a second version of the cable sweater, but in a slightly bigger size, in this green, here, the handspun one. No, not handspun, I mean hand dyed. But not until after Christmas at least, when maybe I have gotten a Swift or have gone and bought myself a Swift, because I have decided I'm gonna buy a Swift if I don't get it for Christmas. But when I decided I wanted a Swift, it was like September, so I was like, I'm gonna hold off until Christmas. It's been a long, long wait. I really do hope I get a Swift. I really, really desperately want a Swift. Anyway, so the plan for that green is cable sweater, but a plan for this is texture, some type of knit pearl pattern or perhaps slip stitches, but not cables. It's mostly because even though I really, really enjoy cables, I do not have the capacity in my mind to think of a new cable pattern at the moment. I would prefer to make my own patterns instead of relying on other people's patterns. I do of course draw inspiration from what's popular at the moment and what other people make. There's nothing completely original when it comes to knitting. It's been a craft for over 1,000 years. So yeah. So I was thinking about like the Ingrid sweater and the Moby sweater, I think, and other sweaters I've seen where have this horizontal patterns, which I think would be quite nice to have something different and just have stripes but with patterns instead of colors, because I do still enjoy stripes a lot, but sometimes yarn management is a bit, I forgot to say, with the sailor sweater, if I do end up playing yarn chicken, I don't mind if the sleeves are a bit shorter on that one, because that's more of a spring whip instead of winter wear. But the next two sweaters I'm gonna knit, I do want them to be for winter, which I guess is kind of why the two I have in my basket here have been on the back burn for so long, because I kind of know I'm not gonna use them necessarily until Easter maybe. And I mean, if I get them done, I will use them, but the intention is for using them as a transitional thing instead of in the winter thing, which the cable sweater is in the middle of winter kind of knitwear. It's thick and cozy, and the cables just traps all the heat, so yeah. But I need more sweaters like that. More sweaters that are more tailored to me. I am, as I have mentioned previously, quite short, and a lot of the sweaters I've gotten from my mom and grandma, I love them, I use them a lot, but they are a bit too long. When they knit them for themselves, they hit them at the hip bone, or perhaps a tiny bit longer, which is where they prefer their knitwear to hit. But when I wear them, I end up sitting on them when I sit down, and that's not comfortable for me. I prefer not to be sitting on my knitwear, though I do still want it to cover my back when I'm sitting, so they hitting at my hip bone would be perfect, but they don't. They're too long. Or I feel like saying they're too long is incorrect, because people have different styling choices and stuff, but I feel like when I wear clothing that are longer than to my hip bone, like tops and stuff like that, I look even shorter because my feet look so short, my legs. So yeah, I would prefer to be more proportional in my clothing. and then I have to knit them myself, I guess. It has taken me quite a while to figure out what I actually do like in clothing, which is probably why I haven't knit so many clothes before. Knowing that it was gonna be a trial and error kind of thing. But I do enjoy the process. Maybe I should cast on something with this green yarn in the next few weeks. Maybe I can then knit it over Christmas. It would be nice. So yeah, I am getting quite exhausted. I do hope that you have enjoyed my rambling and talking about different knitting projects I want to start and aren't gonna start quite yet. I might stop showing projects that haven't had anything done on them, just because I don't see the point in pulling out a project and like, yep, I haven't done nothing on this one either. This is the yarn, these are the needles. At the moment, all my projects are on super tiny needles. My socks are obviously on 2mm needles because those are sock. That's a sock project. But my red sweater that I'm knitting is on 2.5, and the sailor sweater is on 3, and I think this one is on 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. So everything is at the moment quite small. The biggest project I was knitting on was actually the forest hiking hats, because they use 4mm needles. So yeah, I'm gonna need a project with bigger needles or bigger yarn, I guess, just to have something quick and simple and warmer, a bit more enjoyable too. Yeah, I gotta think about that a bit. Maybe I'll cast on a sweater by next time. We'll see. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So yeah, I think that's all. Thank you all for watching. See you guys later. Bye.